How's it going, guys? And welcome back to BL3's Forgotten, the series where I take a look at underused and not often talked about pieces of gear to determine whether or not they deserve to be remembered within the modern meta of the game or should be left behind and forgotten. And today we are taking a look at the Ion Laser. If you'd like to farm the Ion Laser for yourself, you're going to want to fast travel over to the Spend Opticon on the Handsome Jackpot, specifically taking the Market District fast travel station. From there, you'll take a left and run all the way down this hall until you hit a save station, which we will be resetting from. And from there, you'll continue on, jumping over a barricade to the right to kill Evil St. Lawrence. The Ion Laser is a legendary Maliwan SMG, able to roll in 2 of any of the 5 elements, and can consume 1 to 2 ammo per shot. While it won't look like it on the card, the beam on the 2 ammo per shot variant will deal increased damage. The Ion Laser requires a brief charge up time before firing out a continuous laser. For every ammo consumed while firing this laser beam, you stack 12.5% weapon damage, up to a max of 300% weapon damage, after consuming 24 ammo. When you stop firing the laser beam, between 1 to 8 splash damage orbs will be shot out, and the amount of these orbs is dependent on how long you fired the laser beam for. The scaling damage from the continuous fire does also increase the damage of these orbs. It is also worth noting that while the Ion Laser is an SMG, it actually deals assault rifle damage. The Ion Laser has received 2 buffs, initially having the maximum amount of the orbs fired increased by 2, along with a 50% weapon damage increase, before then later gaining another 33.3% weapon damage increase. So starting off, I'd like to talk about the 2 ammo per cost variant. Generally, I don't believe that this is ever really worth using. However, I do believe that because this damage stack is based off of ammo consumed, I'm pretty sure the 2 ammo per cost does actually stack this faster, although this was a little bit difficult to confirm. If this is the case, then this could definitely have its place on lower fire rate builds, as the ×1 variant does have a very good synergy with fire rate because it stacks it faster the faster you consume that ammo. So this does mean that the Ion Laser has an inverse synergy with specifically things like Drowning and Brass that are lowering your fire rate. However, using a ×2 could potentially remedy this. Another little quirk of this thing though is that extra projectiles through the Infernal Wish or Plain Dirty or Two Fang do not affect either the orb count or increase the main beam damage. So this doesn't really get anything out of extra projectile builds. But overall, what do I think about this gun? It's kind of difficult. The Ion Laser is definitely a weird one. However, let's talk about the good first. As I mentioned, this has a very strong synergy with fire rate, as that damage stacks way faster the more ammo that you consume. Meaning that on a build with a very high fire rate focus, you can spam out that ammo, get those stacks, melt through like half a health bar, and then quickly have enough of that damage already built up to execute with the orbs. Which this is what I assume is the idea with this. You melt the enemy with the main firing mode, you stop firing, and those orbs shoot out to finish the job. And this is a very cool idea, and it makes for a very, very fun gun with a very interesting playstyle. The orbs are also incredibly strong on Moze, as she scales very hard with gun damage, and of course she is able to boost the shit out of splash damage. This made those fuckers absolutely nuke literally anything that they touch. This is especially good to utilize with a little trick that I found, where you can actually get a free double burst of your orbs. After charging up your burst and firing it, if you quickly tap the trigger again, you'll get a second burst of the same amount of orbs, which means that you can charge up your orb burst, double tap, and absolutely fucking evaporate whatever dared step in front of you. However, now we'll talk about the bad, because while these orbs feel very fucking strong on Moze, the beam feels like shit on Moze, and the orbs feel way less impactful on every other character, unless you're using a heavily splash-focused build, in which case it's the inverse. My biggest issue with this gun is that simply the beam and the orbs don't function together as well as I want them to do. This isn't a very cohesive package. While the melt with beam, execute with orbs playstyle does work and is functional, if you're on a build that's dealing damage with beam, your beam is just going to end up feeling more impactful than when you execute with the orbs anyways. I feel like I should only have to get an enemy down to maybe half or like a third of their HP before these orbs will kill them, but often it's down to like a 4th or a 5th, and hell, even then sometimes against beefier things the orbs just don't do it, and I should have just kept firing the beam anyways. With Moze or just a heavily focused splash build, then it just feels the exact opposite, where I should just be using the beam to build up the orbs, and then I'm using the orbs as the main damage source. But then there's also the problem with the orbs, where that the spread on these things is just fucking huge. On a majority of enemies from like a mid-range, you'll probably miss at least like a 1/4 of your orbs, and this really just adds to the feeling of it not being a cohesive unit of a gun. It's either you play for the orbs or you play for the beam, and they don't ever really mesh together too well. And in the brief instances that they do, it feels really fun, and it's really enjoyable, but oh my god, this playstyle just falls off so hard, especially at True Guardian Takedown. But really, any enemy beefier than a badass, this is going to struggle against. Overall, the Ion Laser is a very unique and very fun weapon when it's doing what it was designed to do. The problem is, it just feels like two different guns fighting for the limelight here, instead of just being a single unit with a very fun gimmick to it. While it is definitely usable, it is just more disappointing than anything, and I think the biggest reason that this comes down to is that orb spread. If that spread was just decreased and you could actually consistently hit a lot more of these orbs onto an enemy, the melt into execute playstyle would probably actually be able to shine through a little bit more here. However, they could maybe also go the extra step to actually make the orb damage scale a little bit higher the lower the health of the enemy is that they hit. Not only just to really emphasize this sort of gameplay loop, but to also let this gameplay scale better against tougher enemies. But that's gonna about do it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, definitely consider leaving a like, comment, subscribe, all of that. Down in the description will be a link to my Twitch channel where I'll be live right after this video goes up, and just below that is a link to my Discord server where you can come and join and hang out. But with that all being said, I hope to see you guys in the next one.